Hello, everyone. Today we'll discuss how high-tech B2B organizations are using data to power their digital transformation and being responsive to the current needs of customers and business. So joining me today are Stefan Zoder, leading our value consulting practice, and Tom Lear, who heads our sales for high-tech, retail, CPG, manufacturing, as well as travel and hospitality industries. Both Stefan and Tom work very closely with our customers and are bringing in some great insights today. And I'm your host today. My name is Ajay Khanna from Realty Marketing team. So let's get started. Today we see that the current environment has pushed enterprises to rediscover their business and accelerate digital transformation. Businesses are facing many challenges as we are seeing all around us. Remote working is changing how we connect with our customers. Access to right information is becoming more critical for field service, for support people to avoid rework, to avoid rescheduling. We see an increase in customer support request volumes, and the organizations who were selling through dealers or retailers are now expediting shift to digital and their direct to consumer strategies. Companies are moving from a transactional business to more of a subscription business. And moreover, managing renewals and expansions and protecting and retaining their customers is becoming so critical today. Then there are challenges with the supplier ecosystem, challenges with supplier aggregation, supplier management, as well as risk mitigation. So all these are some of the challenges that we are witnessing today. So as our business environment is evolving, business leaders are finding it hard to answer some of their most pressing questions. For example, lack of understanding of their B2B customers and incomplete account information is making it difficult to support and retain their current customers, uncover the business opportunities, as well as executing on the identified opportunities. So some of the questions that are top of the mind are, for example, who are my top accounts? What are the white spaces in those accounts? How can I manage renewals and expansions and find those upsell and cross-sell opportunities? How do I build long-term relationships with my customers? Who are on the decision-making team? Who is on the procurement team? And what is their influence? How can I streamline my support, my field service operations? How can I ensure that they have the right data to deliver that right desired customer experience? So today we will explore some of these questions and see how leading organizations are tackling these. And I will start with Stefan. So Stefan, how are some of the current data and technology trends are helping answer these questions as well as speed up digital transformation? Stefan?
Thanks, Ajay. So because of all these problems you heard about earlier, the four technology trends you see here on the screen have not just continued to persist, they've actually accelerated due to COVID-19. As revenues for many businesses have decreased due to a lack of customer patronage or higher savings rates, organizations were forced to pull projects forward, particularly if they were tactical in nature and promised a quick return on investment. Cost reduction in line with a decrease in top-line revenue drove this. Similarly, either because staff was on lockdown or on furlough, or the overall cost reduction acceleration, an increased move to utilize machine learning in sales and service touchpoints is now no longer a science experiment. Solid customer data and a lower effort to create good training data sets plays a key role in making such projects successful. Further on the data front, graph technologies are also on the march. Organizations who fully understood the relationships of consumers to each other, influencers, physical and digital touch points have been able to switch more seamlessly to a home delivery model. And lastly, the way consumers interact with their smartphone apps to check soccer game schedules, check in their doctor's appointment, or like are now experiences which must be available in enterprise applications as well, so that more employees can be served good information in a consumable but not overwhelming fashion on their device of choice in any latency. So on the next slide, let's look at the business reasons for doing this. It could be about providing digital experiences to your customers via context-based web content being served up. It could be your sales and market effectiveness, by rolling up orders across business units or comparing them versus well-penetrated accounts, the white space argument, to identify such things as white space. It could be enabling your customer service center to engage in personalized offers in cases where no lingering product quality issues persist. You can also roll out bundle offers available to certain channels, which were constructed by direct user feedback. On the compliance front, you want to make sure you don't just inform users about your data privacy policy, but also collect it, and then most importantly, synchronize it at a granular level, product or channel level even, to all customer touchpoint applications. So lastly, we have customer loyalty programs, which are often separate entities, maybe managed by third parties, which administer accumulation, rebates, and redemption of points across an ever-increasing partner ecosystem. So the message is you can start from anywhere and you can move to any other new project. The key value is that once you start building your customer profiles for one particular digital transformation initiative, that same information is now also available to your next initiative. And all the information is automatically connected and all profiles automatically subscribe to each other because of our graph technology and multimodal architecture. You can always expand your use cases in the future without the traditional heavy integration efforts.
Excellent. Thank you, Stefan. So can you share some examples on how various organizations are gaining value or realizing this value?
Right, Ajay. So yeah, enough with the theory. So here are some real life examples what technology organizations can expect to gain from investing in a modern connected customer 360. When it comes to sales, we see a better sales staff alignment and offer construction from better territory roll-ups, especially when customer organizations merge. This is also true for field and inside sales teams who not only are now more likely to hit their targets because the territory shows white space more accurately, plus they don't spend hours of their time and their sales ops staff to figure out where to sell next. As it turns out, marketing is also beneficiary, as you can see here. Having an accurate picture of customer accounts and key contacts and when they change in context of historical orders, face-to-face and digital activities provides an avenue for more targeted messaging. This assures conversion, subscription renewal, and all this with a lower data prep effort. On the service side, a key obstacle to renewal is customer support performance. Being able to triage the right tickets for accounts up for renewal this quarter can save the day. When it comes to developing new product features, crowdsourced feedback correlated to version and feature use and performance on an account or user role basis can accelerate the GA schedule to pull revenue forward. Lastly, we all have multiple data pods in our environments with account and contact data in our infrastructure. These sit on thousands or more duplicate entries, actually costing excess licensing, maintenance, and operational expense. Moving old, incorrect data out of these systems into more affordable storage or just deleting it from the operational environments frees up somewhere around 45 cents per record per year. But this number is actually a data management association benchmark. What it doesn't say is that this cost is actually for one record digital touch. But a customer record typically gets digitally inspected between 6 to 12 times per year. So you see how this can spiral easily out of control. So now let's look at a high-tech manufacturing example. So to also show you what a high-tech manufacturer has achieved with Reltio, let's look at this organization's journey. The multiple on-premise software legacy environments were not only very costly to maintain from a licensing, but also operations perspective. For example, the re-indexing it required when attributes and relationships in the customer base changed. They knew that in order to switch their business to be digitally sophisticated in the consumer and business sales and service experience, they had to move to a highly performant, intuitive, scalable, and trusted cloud platform. They told us that the reduced total cost of ownership by about 30%, resulting in $12 million annually. The administrative headcount itself to support these 66 front and back office applications was drastically reduced because the development effort around designing, implementing, and testing rules changes now takes a fraction of the 6 months it took them in the past. Very important to sales leadership was the ability to increase sales linearity, the ability to adhere to sales targets by enabling a better view on customer and service experiences and kicking off the best next action in time for the right accounts to secure business. This alone is worth tens of millions in pure profit. So Ajay will now explain how to get to a required customer 360 profile for all this.
Thank you so much, Stefan. And let me just spend a couple of minutes on how Reltio helps. So Reltio provides the connected 360 profiles of all your business data that you may need to thrive in this experience economy. So first of all, it brings the data together from all your internal, external, and third-party data sources. And this is where you're reconciling, matching, and merging and creating those consolidated data profiles. And thereafter, going beyond a typical MDM, Reltio helps refine and enrich those profiles with your transactional data, with interactions to create a very rich profile of your customer. And it also discovers all the relationships and the hierarchies to understand how this account is related to a contact or to a business unit or to a product or to a supplier. Knowing about the customer relationships and account hierarchies give you a richer picture, just like LinkedIn, right? Where you can see the relationships between people to people, people to organizations, people to institutions, and their skills and job titles. Once we have all this data together, you can get actionable insights from that information. You can also get insights into the privacy requirements, simplifying the consent management, and understanding the communication preferences, and adhere to all these emerging regulations, whether they are GDPR or CCPA, that you must comply with. And last but not least, share all this information with the business user. All this information is not required by all your business users across all the functional groups. For example, sales may need a different information than what your marketing group desires or what your field service or support needs. So you must create those contextual profiles that are specific to that business roles, depending on their business goals and objective. So this is how Reltio helps you bring all your data together, create those profiles, enrich those with your transactional interaction information, find the relationships, and deliver all that information with insights to the business users in the context of their goals. So now I will invite Tom. So Tom, there are many tools out there and solutions out there that claim to deliver consolidated customer data. So how does Reltio differ?
Thanks, Ajay. So as you said, the data space is very, very large. And this isn't even a total representation of what all the data categories are, but for today's intents and purposes, we really want to give customers a good understanding, our prospects a good understanding for where Reltio plays. It's very confusing because a lot of companies are saying the same thing. They're trying to cross over into different areas. I mean, you can see here, we've got financial, PIM, CDPs, just to name a few. All of these projects are very large projects all on their own. And there's really no one vendor that actually does all these very well. MDM's been around for a long time. A lot of the thought process that's gone into building the customer experience is really built on older technology. And what we're seeing is most major companies are replacing their legacy systems in favor of newer technology, cloud-oriented, multi-tenant SaaS companies that can integrate well with the current environment and landscape that we have today in the marketplace and do it seamlessly and from a business standpoint. Companies are also realizing that they need a really solid customer strategy. I mean, everything that's happened with COVID, it was happening before that, but with COVID, it's just really accelerated it to the point where they really want to understand, you know, through smart matching and what you talked about earlier, trusted enrichment, you know, relate through through connected graphs and make recommendations.
Thank you so much, Tom. So cloud and SaaS solutions have been there in the market for a while, but we still get all these questions about those. So how would you describe the differences in a cloud native multi-tenant SaaS and other either hosted or on-premise solutions?
Yeah, great question. And this is, to me, probably one of the more confusing things that I see out in the market when I'm going to different customers throughout the United States, is that there is a very large difference between a multi-tenant SaaS vendor and an on-premise vendor that hosts the product at the end of the day in their environment. So with a multi-tenant SaaS solution, just to be clear, especially for Reltio, we do 3 major releases a year. We also do minor releases where we can still add functionality, but every 3 or 4 months, we're putting in new functionality. And why that's good is because we have some customers that purchased 3, 4 years ago that didn't even know we had this kind of functionality or planning on this functionality that we might have gotten from one of our other customers and actually implemented in the product. It doesn't change their cost, but they get to take advantage of all the new functionality that's coming into the project, to the product. And what I always try to point people to really understand and what hits home is if you think about when online banking first came out, you were originally only allowed to see your account balances. You couldn't order checks online. You didn't have any of this other functionality. You couldn't open an account. All these were foreign concepts. And banking systems are true multi-tenant SaaS. They're on the same core code base. They separate at the presentation layer so that you and I both go to a website and we log into our accounts. You go to your money, I go to my money. That's very similar to Reltio. When you log into Reltio, everybody's on the same core code base. You go to your instance and another customer goes to their instance, but they're on the same core code base so that when we're actually doing upgrades, everybody gets the benefit, and it's an opt-in type of strategy. And on-prem hosted is the same thing as doing on-prem. So we're the only multi-tenant SaaS vendor that's out there. And if you do an on-prem in the cloud, you're basically still bringing in all the luggage that comes along with servers and databases and having to upgrade them all the time. You're still on the same release cycle as an on-prem system. And you have to hope that your technology or your asks get into the product, but it's going to take at least 1.5 to 2 years in order to get there. And also there's very little IT intervention. I mean, Reltio's designed like other SaaS solutions. You can think of the Workdays and the Salesforces of the world to really be used at a business level, because the business is really driving what that customer interaction is going to be like and what they want to actually send to their customer. So we manage the stack. There's no upgrades needed. There's no worrying about if the database is up to date. We manage that whole piece. And then you're getting the 3 major upgrades, as I said earlier, each year. You multiply that over 15, of the last 5 years, we've done 15 major product enhancements. If you look at any on-prem or on-prem in the cloud type vendor, they've probably done 2, maybe 3, and the technology's old. And we're constantly keeping up with what the cloud vendors are doing, what the integration companies are doing. We have to make sure that our APIs are ready for that as companies really try to get that one platform for a customer 360 so they can get out their messaging in the correct fashion.
That was excellent, Tom. Thank you so much for sharing that. So as we wrap up, a responsive data management solution can help you operationalize your holistic data strategy, as Tom described, and get you answers to your most pressing questions that we started with. So here are some other resources I would highly recommend and encourage you to take advantage of. And contact us if you have any more questions, or if you want to see a live demo, we'll be more than happy to schedule that. So thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, Tom. Thanks, Stefan. And see you next time.